guys, Julian here, long time no see. Excuse the potentially cruddy footage. I'm filming on my iPhone, and usually I film on a much fancier camera, but I'm trying to keep it all super easy to film because I wasn't planning on doing anything today, and I had my iPhone with me, and I haven't spoken to you guys in ages. I thought I'd let you know what's going on. And it's such a nice day here. Oh my god, I can't believe we're all in lockdown. I hope everyone's well. I guess some of you won't be, but hopefully you've come through it and you're okay, and now you're immune. Brilliant. Unfortunately, I've got really bad adult asthma, so I'm having to be even more cautious than the average person. I'm on the so-called vulnerable list, and the longer I can avoid getting COVID, the better for our NHS, because even with a normal cold, I tend to get complications like in secondary infections, and it lasts sort of a month, 6 weeks, that kind of thing. So with COVID, I think I would be one of those people that would get hospitalised, and that would take a bed away from someone potentially even worse than me, like someone with cancer or someone with really bad diabetes or no immune system, that kind of thing. So I'm really trying my best to not get it. So I'm not running outside of the property now. I was running outside, and in fact I've been doing all the marathon training, and that's why I've not been putting videos up, because frankly I've been too exhausted. The marathon got cancelled like a week and a half before the actual marathon. Absolutely gutted about that. I've never trained so hard for anything in my life. I was super disciplined about it. I'm super strong at running now. I actually overdid it slightly and injured my knee, but I think that is nearly back to 100%. I mean, it's back to 90%, so I'm running again, but I'm having to run in the garden now. Luckily, we've got a lovely long and thin garden, and I will show you the track. Basically, the house is in front of me. There's the house, and well, I'll turn the camera around because it's better angle. So I've been running around the perimeter of the garden, and it's been okay, but because it's a garden and we're in the middle of nowhere with thousands of rabbits and foxes and badgers and all sorts, it's quite frankly a health and safety nightmare. I keep twisting my ankle, my knee is hurting because it's really like this. I mean, it's not even flat, really bumpy, rabbit holes every 3 or 4 feet. So I've cut it really short around the perimeter, and I'm going to try and make it flat by cutting the top of the bumps off and filling the low points. So it's a big old task, but it's not all horrendous. I'm going to do the worst bits first, and I've got a roller on the back of the mower now. Not a great one. I got it for 20 quid off eBay. Weirdly, it used to be a really famous cricketer's, his lawn roller, and it's a limestone one. It's a really old one. It's not great. I mean, what you really want is a perfectly round steel one, but for 20 quid I just couldn't say no, and I got that a year ago. And I've done a few laps of the running track with it, and it's not making a lot of difference, but I think if I do it loads and loads, it should help. But today I've been sorting this little area out, and this has been our little junk pile. This has been our kind of reclamation yard, as it were. Every time I see an amazing deal for something on eBay, this is where everything gets dumped. So this was left over from when we did up the house. All these tiles, these need to go back on eBay and be sold. We've got loads of bricks there, paving slabs in the background, more paving slabs there, rotting pallets with more paving slabs on under all these brambles here. Here's a bit of the running track that I cut through. Yeah, I'm just going to cut that down. That one, and possibly another one, and then another one. We'll see. I'm not going to cut many. It was more of a sort of saying hello, really. Because I'm still chesty, even from the Christmas flu, that's how badly I get the normal colds. I'm going to have to be a little bit careful about what I do while this COVID thing is going on. The casting is quite problematic with my chest, even though I wear my mask and my really good trend air shield mask. It's a brilliant thing, but still little bits get through, and I don't know, I'd probably just do other things until this is over. And as the weather is so nice today, I thought I'd do a little update and possibly a garden thing. So yeah, I think it's just going to be a really short video, just really to say hi. I've tried to cut it really low, so you go round, so there's the house, you start there, run up behind this hedge, behind the car, all the way down along the hedge, right down to the far end, around the pond, and then down here, behind that greenhouse, down here, and then I've cut a hole here. This used to be loads of brambles across, so I've cut this out and mowed really short this bit, and I've just filled this hole here with mud. Basically this square here is going to become Nikki's new prime gardening area. We actually made her an allotment over there, but it was a bit far away. It's got power and water and everything, but and Nikki's used it for about 4 years and it's been brilliant. But it would be better if it was closer to the house, and this is a prime spot. So that's the plan. It all needs a massive tidy. That's what it looks like. It's quite a big space actually. So yeah, we'll take a couple of those trees out and see how huge they are. They're always bigger than you think. Another reason I want to do it now is I've noticed the birds. I think it's because the weather's been so nice recently. The birds are getting interested in looking for nesting sites already. It's a tad early, but I think it's a mixture of the good weather and the fact that there's no humans about out there. The wildlife is kind of taking over again, and it's lovely, but I don't want birds to be nesting in here when I want to take it down, so I need to take it down first. Well, you can't really see what I've done. Check this out. How cool is that? Okay, well I think that might have to be it until I burn down this big pile here. That's 4 trees worth, and purposefully keeping them long so that when I come to, I'm not sure how I'm going to take the roots out yet. They might be very shallow. If previous experience on this property is anything to go by, they will be very shallow. So I might try and pull them out with the tractor, but that might be a little bit too much for the tractor. But that's why I've kept them long, for good leverage. I went a bit short on that 4th one. But I'm going to tidy all these up now. Put everything on that pile. It's lit on the far side, but because it's so airy, it's kind of burning in fits and starts. bit of an advert for another channel. So obviously the COVID thing has been going on for, just a little bit of context, we've been in lockdown now for about 2 weeks in the UK. This is official lockdown. I've actually been in lockdown longer than that because I've been following this since it first started in Wuhan. And I was telling all my mates, this looks really bad. In fact, a few of them just laughed at me like I was an idiot. And I wish they'd have been right, but they weren't. But I've kind of got sick of the rolling news 24/7, oh we're all doomed kind of news broadcast at the moment. And what I've found is a YouTube channel called Dr Campbell, and I will put a link in the description. Please check him out. He is a British retired ITU nurse. He's also a doctor, and he just takes all the news COVID-wise, all the COVID news of the day, just one 24-hour period, condenses it all into about 20 minutes. How's Italy doing? How's the USA doing? How their regime differs from UK, how that's affecting things. And he also does any new papers that come out. So, for instance, a couple of days ago a paper came out about the aerosolization. I know that's a horrible Americanism of a word, but previously I've always kind of been worried about this, but it's not been... I've kept it to myself because I didn't want to be that person, that crazy person telling everyone to... well, I have been that crazy person saying that 2 meters is not enough. And people have been saying, well, it's just if they cough on you or sneeze on you. Well, if that is the case, then 2 meters is still not enough because, you know, there's a 200-mile-an-hour sneeze coming your way. 2 meters is nothing. And especially if you're doing strong exercise, breathing heavily, running behind someone, 2 meters is nothing. Anyway, so this paper has just come out, and it has suggested that actually it's not just touching someone and their sneeze that gets you, it's talking to people. Even someone who is asymptomatic and producing viral load, their vocal cords vibrating is kind of spraying out virus. And that's a lot more terrifying, which is why the USA has now told everyone to wear masks in public, because of this new paper. Now the UK is still a little bit behind on that now, and I would suggest that they're probably going to change their mind on that too, and they're going to start saying perhaps we should be wearing masks in public, more to protect others rather than protect yourself, because if you're expressing virus while talking to people, having a little mouth covering like this will actually help contain the viral spray. So it's more about keeping others safe wearing a mask rather than, you know, being afraid of other people infecting you. Dr Campbell, he won't sugarcoat it, but he's extremely calm and scientific, and he has just been a breath of fresh air and quite reassuring actually. He talked about a paper a couple of days ago that I think the WHO did it, I'm not sure. They randomly tested 600 or so people in Europe. So bear in mind that Europe is a little ahead of us in the UK, so there's more of it in Europe than the UK, possibly. At the moment, who knows, we might be about equal footing now. But anyway, they did a study of about 600 people in Europe, and they randomly tested, so these were all people that said they hadn't had it. So they were asymptomatic, they were otherwise fine, they didn't think they'd had COVID. They tested 600 people, and they found that using the stats from those 600 people, they could extrapolate for the entire European continent that so this is a quite large range because they only did 600 people, but between 2% of the entirety of Europe to 11% of the entirety of Europe had already had COVID. That's kind of terrifying, but at the same time, actually, that could be quite good news. That could be reassuring, because that means that they were asymptomatic, they are now immune, and if you can imagine all of those people actually had it, and then you add in the people that have died from it, that cuts the death rate way down. That makes it more like 1%, which as a lot of people have been saying is usually the case for coronavirus. It's usually about 1%, but obviously because they're not doing much testing, they're only testing the people that are nearly on death's door anyway. So of the people that are on death's door, a lot of people die. So that is why the death rate is looking horrendous right now. It's also starting to be seen that it's extremely infectious. So I don't know, there's good news and bad news in that stat. The good news is potentially it has spread a lot further, but has affected most normal people in an almost like they hadn't even noticed kind of way. That would be excellent news, because that would be almost like a little free vaccination that they've got, and they're now immune. Anyway, obviously, to get all these stats correct and true for each population, a lot of testing needs to be done, and the UK has been a bit rubbish on that. Anyway, that's my little COVID talk over. Please check out Dr Campbell. I cannot recommend him enough. I'll put a link in the description. Please check him out. You will not be sorry. I'm going to get on with this. Oh, also, check out Perry's wife's video on how to make a mask, a homemade mask. It's brilliant. I'll put a link to that as well in the description. I think Mrs. Perry should do more videos. There we go. Done a few more. I've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5 now. Oh, you're wonky. There we go. Little tour. As you can see, very bumpy. Here's where I dug a trench, about a 5-foot trench, all the way from that barn straight down from over there straight to here, and then to here, and then all the way to the pond, which you'll see in a minute. This trench is where a drain, a water pipe, power and internet goes all the way down to the pond area, and also from here there is water and power diverted across to Nikki's vegetable patch over there. But it's extremely bumpy. There's like ruts and everything because I need to sort those out. I need to cut them down into the right level so they're beneath the soil where they're supposed to be. I just never got round to it. And there's been lots of settling where the ground has kind of, where the bump from the digging has been. But the drain, it's a 5-inch drain from the barn behind me, and it's not connected yet, but it will be. And the idea is in the summer when the pond is very low, when it rains, any water that hits the barn roof will go down the pipe and go into the pond, which will be great because the pond gets very dry in the summer. So we're just approaching the back of the garden. There's the owl box. Here is the lovely pond. And if you guys saw my open as open entry, the octopus, you saw me burn out my investment mould in a pizza oven that was behind this tree here. And Nikki was just sat there. Oh God, was that last year? Seems like a long time ago. So I'm following the perimeter. Bit of a ramp here. Now right back here where all the rabbits and the foxes and badgers live, it is extremely rutty and potholey, and I have to be really careful here with my knees, but once I get it flat I think it'll be a lot better. Here's a little pet cemetery. Look at these holes here. You don't want to be running and put your foot in one of those. So this is the kind of thing the rabbits do, naughty rabbits. So we're at the far corner of the garden now. There's the pond again, heading back towards the house. Come up round this tree. Oh, I see some movement in the water. I think the fish are out. It's the first time this year I've seen them. It's because of the warm weather. It's really nice down here. Super quiet down here. There's a little island in the middle. And this is the running track continued around this really big tree. Down here. Around the back of Nikki's vegetable patch. Really rutty here too. Oh, my knee is giving me a little bit of jip actually. Those two tall trees there in pots, they're giant redwoods. I sent off to America to get some seeds, and they're notoriously difficult to get to germinate from, but we managed it. Nikki did her magic on it, and they're just taking off now. I'm not sure where to plant them. They're from one of the famous, really big ones, one of the named giant redwoods from California. Is it California? I think it's California. This used to be a goat paddock. The previous owners had goats and they lived in here. And here's where I took the fence down a few days ago to enable the perimeter of the garden to be used. I just took a little section out of the fence here, took the brambles out, filled that hole with some nice soil. God, the rabbits made another hole. Damn those rabbits. So many. Because we're in the middle of a 100-acre field here. There's the fire that I lit yesterday. The whole centre is burnt out. It's hollow, but essentially I'll light it in a few days when it's dry. Anyway, back to the running track. Past the old shed. We were going to make that into a holiday little holiday thing, and it just got a bit run down, and it's not the best start. It's a bit grim inside, so it's got power and gas and a shower and everything, but I think what we'll do is maybe this year or next year replace that with a brick version that will become Nikki's potting shed, because this whole area I'm standing in and where I took the trees down yesterday, with the reclamation yard as it were, is going to become Nikki's new vegetable patch. And if I get my act together, underneath the brick version of this I'll dig my bunker or cold store. Anyway, back to the running track. There's the start of my driveway down there. That's about 600 yards down there, just at the end there where you see the hedge. You turn right and then it's 500-600 yards down to the road. So there's our garage. Come running around here and we're back. That's it. Back to the start. Bye everyone.